Yesterday she had a home, but today her husband sold it, moved to Europe 2 years ago, and left her with nothing. I brought my daughter home and did what would finally make my son-in-law pay. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you were listening in the comments. The taxi pulled onto Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard just as the drizzle turned serious. I paid the driver, grabbed my overnight bag, and stood on the sidewalk staring at the house. Ellen's house, the one her grandmother left her. Pale blue siding, white trim, that crooked maple in the front yard. I remembered from photos she'd sent me years back. 3 years since we'd spoken. 3 years since that argument when I told her Travis was no good and she'd told me to stay out of her life. I'd been stubborn. She'd been stubborn. We were related after all. I walked up the porch steps rehearsing what I'd say. Something simple. "Ellen, I'm sorry. Can we talk?" The doorbell chimed inside. Footsteps approached. The door opened. A woman I'd never seen stood there. A toddler balanced on her hip. She had red hair pulled into a ponytail, yoga pants, suspicious eyes. "Can I help you?" she asked. My throat tightened. "I'm looking for Ellen Crawford, my daughter. She lives here." The woman's expression shifted from caution to confusion. "I'm sorry, but we bought this house 2 years ago from a real estate company. There was no Ellen." The bag slipped from my shoulder. "That's impossible. This was her house. Her grandmother left it to her. I don't know anything about that." She adjusted the toddler who was staring at me with enormous brown eyes. "We closed escrow in March of 2023. Everything was legal and proper." I pulled out my phone, fumbled through photos until I found it. Ellen's standing right here on this porch 5 years ago, holding up the house keys and grinning. I showed the screen to this stranger. "That's the same house," I said. My voice sounded far away. "Same address? 2847 Southeast Hawthorne." The woman softened slightly. "I'm sorry. I really am. But this is our home now. Maybe you could try calling her." She closed the door gently. I heard the deadbolt click. I stood there breathing the damp February air, trying to make sense of it. Sold. Ellen would have told me, wouldn't she? Even angry, even after 3 years of silence, she'd have mentioned selling her grandmother's house. Movement caught my eye. Next door, an elderly woman was watering potted plants under her covered porch, watching me with open curiosity. I walked over. "Excuse me, I'm Ellen Crawford's father. Do you know where she is?" The woman sat down her watering can. "Oh my, you're Ellen's father. I'm Dorothy Patterson. I live here." She gestured at her house. I remember Ellen. Such a sweet girl. Played piano beautifully. "When did you last see my daughter?" Mrs. Patterson frowned thinking. "Oh, must have been winter of 2023. They left sudden-like. House went up for sale right after. I thought maybe they moved for work." "They, you mean Ellen and her husband? That Travis fellow?" "Yes. Nice enough, but something always seemed off about him." She studied my face. "You didn't know they left?" I shook my head, unable to speak. "I'm sorry, dear. I assumed family knew. It all happened so fast. 1 week they were there. The next week there was a realtor sign in the yard." I thanked her, walked back to the sidewalk, and called an Uber to take me to the nearest hotel. My hands shook as I typed Ellen's number. It rang once, then an automated voice. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." I tried again. Same message. The hotel room was generic and beige. I sat on the edge of the bed and dialed Ellen's number 17 more times. Always the same recording. Finally, I opened my laptop and searched Portland property records. There it was. 2847 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard. Sold January 28, 2023 for $420,000. Buyer listed as Westbrook Family Trust. I checked Ellen's Facebook. Last post, December 2022. A photo of Christmas lights. Her email bounced back. Account inactive. The window overlooked a rain-slick street. I stood there watching headlights blur past and felt the first wave of real fear. Not confusion anymore. Fear. I called Portland Police non-emergency line. "I need to report a missing person," I said. The operator was patient. "How long has this person been missing?" I don't know. Maybe 2 years. 2 years. Sir, why are you just reporting this now? Because I was proud. Because I was angry. Because I let an argument keep me from my daughter for 3 years. We'd been out of touch. I said, I just discovered she's gone. The operator took Ellen's information, said someone would call me back. I hung up and pulled out my wallet. Inside was Ellen's last birthday card to me from 4 years ago. Her handwriting, "Love you, Dad. Even when we disagree." I called the hotel front desk. I need to extend my reservation indefinitely. How many nights, sir? However long it takes. I spent the next 3 hours searching online. Portland homeless shelters, community aid centers, hospital emergency rooms. My cursor hovered over each link. This was the last place any father wants to look for his daughter. But I clicked anyway. Franklin High School looked exactly as Ellen had described it years ago. Brick building, green trim, basketball court, visible behind chain-link fence. I'd been awake since 5 that morning, drinking hotel coffee and making lists, places to call, questions to ask. My shirt was rumpled from sleeping in the chair. The front office smelled like copy paper and industrial cleaner. A young secretary with glasses looked up from her computer. I'm looking for Ellen Crawford, I said. She taught music here. Recognition flickered across her face, followed quickly by discomfort. Oh, Mr. Crawford. Ellen left in 2022. I'm sorry. We don't have contact information for former staff. I leaned forward, keeping my voice level. Did she say where she was going? Was there an emergency? She just resigned. September, I think. I wasn't here for all the details. The secretary glanced at her computer screen like she was looking for an escape route. I'm sorry. I can't help more. I thanked her and left. Outside, the drizzle had stopped, but the sky remained the color of old concrete. The next 2 days blurred together. OSU Hospital. No patient records for Ellen Crawford. Legacy Emmanuel, nothing. Providence, Portland, the same. I filled out missing person inquiry forms at 2 police stations, showing Ellen's photo to board officers who promised to file reports, but whose eyes said they'd seen this before. Each dead end pulled the knot in my chest tighter. On the 3rd day, I drove through East Portland with a printed list of community centers and shelters. The streets grew rougher as I moved southeast. Chain-link fences, boarded windows, tents clustered under highway overpasses. Around noon, I turned on to Southeast 82nd Avenue. The Community Outreach Center was a squat brick building with a hand-painted sign. 20 people stood in a line outside, waiting for the lunch service to begin. I almost kept driving. Then something made me look closer. A woman near the middle of the line, thin, shoulders hunched in a donated jacket 3 sizes too large. The way she held herself, protective and defeated at once. I knew that posture. I'd seen it in home videos from Ellen's childhood when she was scared but trying to hide it. I parked and walked toward the line, got closer, saw the profile of her face. It was Ellen. My daughter was standing in line for free food. I approached carefully, heart hammering. Ellen. She went rigid, didn't turn. No, wrong person. I moved where she could see me. Ellen, it's Dad. Her face went white as paper. She tried to turn away. Go away, please. I'm not going anywhere. Not this time. She broke then, deep, wrenching sobs that made her whole body shake. I wrapped my arms around her and she collapsed against me, all bones and trembling. She smelled like street dirt and desperation. And I wanted to kill someone. People in line shifted awkwardly, giving us space. I guided Ellen to my rental car, got her into the passenger seat, cranked the heat to maximum, handed her my jacket. Even though she protested weakly, we sat there while she cried. I didn't ask questions, just waited. Finally, her voice came out broken and small. He sold it. Travis sold the house, forged my signature on the final papers. When January 2023 took all the money, left me $3,000, said he was going to Europe for business. She laughed bitterly. He never came back. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. You've been on the street for 2 years. I couldn't call you. Not after our fight. Not after I chose him over your warnings. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I was so ashamed. I drove to a furnished apartment I'd seen advertised near Powell Boulevard. Paid first and last month in cash. The landlord asked no questions. The studio was small but clean. Bed, kitchenette, bathroom with a shower. I unpacked groceries while Ellen stood in the doorway looking lost. "This is yours for the month," I said. "We'll figure out something longer term soon." "Dad, I can't afford." "You're not paying. This is what I should have done 3 years ago. I'm so sorry for everything." I set down the bag of apples, looked at her directly. "Save your apologies. You didn't do anything wrong." "He did, and he's going to answer for it." I showed her the shower, left clean towels folded on the bathroom counter, made her promise to eat the sandwich I'd bought. Then I drove back to my hotel. That night I didn't cry, didn't rage. I opened my laptop and began searching. How to trace financial fraud, asset recovery legal options, property fraud prosecution, Delaware LLC registration database. I created a spreadsheet, timeline of events, what I knew, what I needed to find out, old audit habits kicking in like muscle memory. At 2 a.m, I stared at the screen, multiple tabs open. Oregon property law, fraud statutes, attorney directories, pages of notes in my neat handwriting. Ellen was sleeping 3 blocks away in her first real bed in 2 years. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt something sharper, colder. I saved a document titled Travis Henry, Asset Investigation, and closed the laptop. Tomorrow I'd start making calls. Tomorrow the hunt would begin. 1 week had passed since I'd found Ellen in that line. 7 days of buying her groceries, making sure she ate, watching color return to her face. But I wasn't just playing caretaker. Every morning while she slept, I worked. The county clerk's office smelled like old paper and floor polish. Ellen's hands shook as she signed the request form for a certified copy of her marriage certificate. "That's me," she said, voice small. "I'm the wife." The clerk barely looked up. "Property deed for Southeast Hawthorne address will be $25. 10 business days." I leaned forward. "We can pay rush processing. We need these soon." 3 days later, the documents arrived. I spread them across Ellen's apartment table, photographing each page with my phone. Marriage certificate showing Ellen Crawford married to Travis Henry. June 2019. Property deed listing Ellen as heir to her grandmother's house. Transferred December 2020. Everything documented, everything provable. I spent 2 evenings researching Portland family law firms, read case histories, checked Bar Association records. My audit training made me thorough. I narrowed 3 candidates to 1. Corey Wilson, specializing in fraud cases. His office was downtown, 10th floor, glass walls overlooking the Willamette River. Corey Wilson was 42, sharpied with the careful attention of someone who'd seen too many lies. He listened to Ellen's story without interrupting, examined the documents I'd organized. Then he delivered his assessment. "This is textbook fraud," he said. "Forged signature, unauthorized sale of community property. But here's the problem. Your husband is in Portugal." Ellen flinched. "Ex-husband. We're still married legally, but legally married means legally entitled to half that house." Corey cut through her confusion efficiently. "He stole from you, but Portugal doesn't extradite for civil fraud." I leaned forward, pen poised over my legal pad. "So we can't touch him." "I didn't say that. Civil suits don't require extradition. We go after his assets in the U.S. if he has any." Driving back, Ellen stared out the window at gray Portland drizzle. "Maybe it's hopeless. Maybe he made sure there's nothing left to find." "People always think they're cleverer than they are," I said. "Especially people like Travis." "What do you mean?" "I spent 30 years finding money people tried to hide. He's not special. He's just greedy. And greedy people make mistakes." That evening in my hotel room, I opened my laptop, started searching. Travis Henry plus Portland. Travis Henry plus real estate. Travis Henry Pulse Portugal, found his LinkedIn profile. Managing partner, Cascade Properties Group. Investment opportunities, strategic acquisitions, the language of someone playing businessman. Last activity, January 2023. The month he vanished. I clicked through to the company page. Generic website, stock photos, contact form that probably went nowhere, but the company existed. That meant corporate registration. That meant public records. The Delaware Division of Corporations database loaded slowly. I typed Cascade Properties Group LLC. There it was. Registered March 2022. 10 months before he sold Ellen's house. Single member Travis Henry. Registered agent address in Wilmington, Delaware. I sat back, pieces clicking into place. March 2022. Travis hadn't just stolen impulsively. He'd created a company nearly a year before executing the theft. Planned it, prepared for it, spent months setting up the infrastructure to hide stolen money. I pulled up Google Maps, searched the registered agent address, mail forwarding service, not a real office, classic shell company setup. I'd seen hundreds of these during my IRS career. People thought corporate structures made them invisible. They were wrong. I opened a new spreadsheet, created columns, date, action, evidence, source, notes, started filling it in. March 2022, LLC registration. January 2023, house sale. February 2023, Travis relocates to Portugal. A timeline of premeditated theft. My phone buzzed. Text from Ellen. Thank you for your day, for everything. I texted back, get some rest. Tomorrow we keep digging. But I didn't rest. I pulled up the Delaware Registered Agents website, found their phone number, called. I'm inquiring about Cascade Properties Group LLC. I said, can you confirm the current mailing address? The voice on the other end sounded bored. We're registered agent only. We don't have client information. I understand. Is there a secondary contact listed? Sir, we can't disclose that without proper authorization. I thanked them and hung up. Hadn't expected cooperation, but now I knew they'd log the call. Travis would receive notification someone was asking questions. Good. Let him wonder. I opened two browser windows side by side. Left, Cascade Properties Group, LLC registration, March 2022, right? Travis's LinkedIn profile, last activity, January 2023. Timeline matched perfectly. Travis had planned this months before executing. I'd seen this pattern before in tax evasion cases. Create shell company, funnel money through it, hide assets behind corporate veil. But shell companies have bank accounts and bank accounts leave trails. I closed the laptop but didn't sleep. Tomorrow I'd make more calls. Tomorrow I'd find where Travis hid the money. 2 weeks later, I sat in a coffee shop near Powell's Books, reading the private investigator's report for the third time. $2,500. Worth every penny. Richard Moss arrived exactly on time, sliding into the booth across from me with his own folder. Former forensic accountant turned PI. I'd chosen him carefully. Your son-in-law thought he was clever, Richard said, spreading photocopied bank statements across the table. Delaware LLC, corporate veil, offshore transfers. I slid my cold coffee aside, pulled on my reading glasses, but he left money behind. $180,000 business checking account at Bank of America. Richard used his pen to circle figures on the printout. Hasn't touched it in 2 years. I studied the statements. Account showed zero activity since February 2023 except monthly maintenance fees. No payroll, no vendor payments, no investments, debt account holding, stolen money. Why? I asked. Why leave it exposed? Richard leaned back. Best guess, Portugal taxes foreign income heavily. He declares the transfer, loses 30% to taxes, keeps it here. It's invisible to Portuguese authorities. I traced the money flow with my finger. $420,000 from house sale went to LLC's Delaware account, then split. $240,000 wire transferred to Portugal. $180,000 stayed put. Greed and caution, I said quietly. Fatal combination. Back in my hotel room, I spread Richard's report alongside my own research. Created a new timeline. LLC registered March 2022. House sold January 2023. Money transferred February 2023. All account activity ceased. March 2023. Perfect sequence proving premeditation. This wasn't marital breakdown leading to desperate act. This was calculated theft executed over 12 months. I photographed each page of Richard's report, uploaded everything to encrypted cloud storage, chain of custody, evidence protection, old audit habits. The next morning, I brought Ellen in the full report to Corey Wilson's office. Ellen looked steadier now. 3 weeks of regular meals, safe housing, her father's support. She sat straighter. Corey reviewed the bank statements, registration documents, timeline. His expression shifted from professional interest to genuine satisfaction. This changes everything, he said. He left assets in U.S. jurisdiction. Can we freeze the account? I asked. Better. We can petition the court to seize it as proceeds of fraud. Ellen's entitled to half that house minimum. That's $210,000. The LLC has 180 sitting there. Ellen's voice came out tight. What if he moves it before we can stop him? We file today. Request emergency restraining order. If the judge grants it, that account freezes immediately. 3 days later, we met Corey at Multnomah County Courthouse. Ellen signed the complaint papers. Her hand hovered over the signature line for a moment. Then she looked at me and signed firmly. The clerk processed our filing. Civil complaint, fraud and property recovery. Filing fee is $278. Corey handed over his credit card. We're also requesting emergency TTRO for asset freeze. Judge Nakamura is hearing emergency motions this afternoon. You'll need to wait for review. I touched Ellen's elbow. This is it. First real step. We sat in the hallway for 4 hours. Ellen read a magazine without turning pages. I made notes on my legal pad. Corey checked his phone periodically. Finally, his screen lit up. He read, then looked at us with a thin smile. Judge granted it. Account is frozen effective immediately. Ellen's breath caught. So he can't touch the money. Not $1. Bank of America will receive the court order by end of business today. That $180,000 is locked down. I asked the question we were all thinking. How long until he knows? Bank will notify LLC's registered agent. Probably within 48 hours. Then he'll know someone's coming for him. We walked out of the courthouse into March sunshine. Ellen looked different, lighter, standing straighter. She turned to me. What happens now? I watched traffic flow down Broadway. Now we wait. The bank will notify Travis's registered agent. Could be 2 days, could be 3. Then he'll know his money is frozen. Ellen's face hardened slightly. Good. Anger was better than shame. Will he call? She asked. I considered. Probably. Men like Travis always think they can talk their way out of consequences. I met her eyes. Let him call. Thanks for watching and subscribe.